All right, I'm going to keep it a buck. I have no idea if this is going to work at all. See, we've only been doing Zealandism when I haven't been traveling that much, but I'm about to start having to travel some again for various events and videos we're making for the main channel and what have you. So we're going to have to learn how to do this, right? I realize this probably feels like some sort of hostage situation, right? You're getting 5 pixels here, and the audio quality is like me underwater, like I'm starring in Finding Nemo 4, but it's just something that we're all going to have to get used to together. Because what I am doing this weekend is very cool. I just can't tell you about it yet, NDAs and stuff. Then next weekend, we're going to be doing this again. Next weekend, I'm going to be in Rotterdam for TwitchCon EU. I have a meet and greet on Sunday. If you ever wanted to, have me sign your forehead or something, that is going to be a possibility on Sunday in Rotterdam. I will be a little hungover, not a lot hungover though. I am a professional. Come on, we have certain standards to uphold. But what we're actually talking about today from this hotel room and from the laptop webcam, I feel like I'm in a Zoom meeting right now, is the Euros, right? And because I was busy flying over the Atlantic Ocean, I'm in London at the moment, which I realize I probably buried the lead on that one. I was not able to make this video earlier, but you deserve to hear my reaction to Gareth Southgate's just diabolical disaster class against Denmark. But I'm going to start with Slovenia and Serbia because this Euros, and I feel like almost every international tournament delivers at a super high level. It's very rare that we get an international tournament that doesn't deliver at a super high level. But this Slovenia-Serbia match was another example of just fabulous. We get the underdog scoring the first goal in this tournament more than any tournament I can remember, right? All these tournaments deliver and you get some dramatic moments. But even the Saudi Arabia upset of Argentina, we didn't get the underdog scoring first. In this match, again, we get Slovenia scoring first. We've got Serbia chasing the match the whole time until Luka Jovic, who's like the bane of everybody's existence during COVID and Real Madrid with his giant flame out. Of all people, he's the guy that ends up scoring a goal that keeps Serbia alive. And now Slovenia is sitting here holding a bag, feeling absolutely terrible about everything they've managed to accomplish. Because despite Slovenia's incredible performances so far, they're not sitting in a good position to be able to make the next round after all. Because you now have 2 draws if you're Slovenia, if you're one of the 2 million people that is Slovenian, right? 2 draws against Denmark and Serbia. 2 points is almost never enough to get you out of a group stage in this situation. It's not going to be able to get you into second because Denmark and Serbia, you see the group right here, Denmark and Serbia are going to be playing each other, right? And so somebody is going to get at least a point out of that match, which means Slovenia with a draw is not going to ascend above Denmark or something. Unless, I guess it's possible. No, because if Slovenia draws, then they have 3 points. I don't even know. Sorry, the jet lag's really getting to me. Slovenia is going to have to get a result against England all of a sudden, which is not a good position to be in. So they've had a brilliant tournament. They've outplayed everything I expected Slovenia was going to be capable of in this tournament. Huge shout out to all of the nameless, faceless guys on that team that I'm just not intelligent enough to know who they are, right? But they're playing really well so far in this tournament. Do I think they're going to get a result against England? Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. Honestly, I would not put it past them. Serbia, on the other hand, has been worse. Serbia's a weird national team. A very regular participant at the World Cup, but they don't really make the Euros. This is in fact, I can't believe this is overlooked, but this is actually the first Euros that Serbia has ever played in, like just the country of Serbia. It feels really bizarre because they've played in 3 different World Cups. They've won multiple matches at the World Cup, and qualifying for the World Cup is harder than qualifying for the Euros. Right? But they have had 4 opportunities to qualify for the Euros as just Serbia, failed to do it. They just haven't done it. I don't know why, and they're underachieving at this European Championships as well. Now they don't count as a debutante. Right, Georgia's the only debutante because Serbia is the inheritor of Yugoslavia's national team, but it is the first time that just a country named Serbia, not even with Montenegro involved, is actually playing at the Euros. And so they've never actually made it out of the group stage in a major tournament as Serbia. I just give them a lot of credit for qualifying for 3 World Cups out of European qualifying, which is incredibly difficult. I mean, hell, they finished above Portugal in World Cup qualifying. The only thing that Serbia seems to be able to do well is World Cup qualifying, but they are now on the precipice. Again, they're playing Denmark and they're going to need a win. And the reason they're going to need a win is because Denmark managed to draw against England, which I'm sure you already know about. I don't know what I'm going to say about this game and this situation. that you don't already know. I'm not going to offer enlightenment. I'm just going to offer opinions. Gareth Southgate, I saw somebody tweeted at me after the match, said Zealand's going to start the Zealandism on this by saying Gareth Southgate's a good coach. He is a good coach. Okay, Gareth Southgate is a good coach. He's not a great coach. He has proven that he is somebody in a one-track mind who's not going to make really ambitious adjustments. And his plan is clear. I'm going to go out and get the lead, and I'm going to try and hang on to it. Well, the problem is Hjulmand hit an absolute banger for Denmark to tie this match up in the first half, and then all of a sudden, Denmark just went toe-to-toe with England, right? And England is in the category of France and Brazil, and these teams that, look, Denmark's good. All right, they've been good for a while. They're really cresting at the moment, but there are levels to the game, and England's a whole level above where Denmark is supposed to be at, right? Even though Denmark's a former European champion, right, in 1992. There is, I guess that's more than England has. Sorry. But talent-wise, if you look at the two teams, England should be swaggering around, and it just feels like when Gareth Southgate is managing England, he's just putting handcuffs on everybody. I don't know. And I'm watching this match, and I'm thinking this is just a classic version of the problem Gareth Southgate always has, which is he's trying to play a low-scoring game that England wins. But when you play a low-scoring game, it just takes one banger to ruin that plan, right? If you open it up, right, you play a bit more free-flowing like France does, you can beat teams 5-6-1. Well, England just doesn't really do that, right? And not that Denmark's the type of team that you'd be able to do that against, but it is the type of team that, France played against a Denmark. They would be able to put up, would score more than one goal. I feel very comfortable with that as long as we're getting Kylian Mbappe out there in some sort of Batman mask or something. But what really concerned me, the first time that I've looked at Gareth Southgate and I've gone, this guy might actually be cooked. He might actually be toast. Everybody might actually be right in that he needs to leave now, is what he said after the match. Okay, because I always thought the players kind of liked him. They play with a camaraderie and a togetherness, and it's almost endearingly ugly the way that England chooses to play under Gareth Southgate. But when you get a window into somebody's mind and like what they're actually thinking, that can change things. And in post-match, he said something that was catastrophically stupid. I'm just going to go ahead and play the clip for you. Here it is.
It's been it is an experiment, and we know that we don't have a natural replacement for a Calvin Phillips, but we're trying some different things, and at the moment we're not flowing as we'd like. That's for sure.
Now, because here's the thing, right? Now I will stand there and deal and deliver and defend a coach that I think has accomplished a good amount. You got to remember what England was accomplishing like before Gareth Southgate, and that was getting grouped in tournaments. Okay, so Gareth Southgate has done a good job in charge of this team. But he seems to have, he is so lost in his own world that he seems to have lost touch with reality, right? Like he's so, everybody's always known this. He's insular in the way that he thinks and the way that he picks his team, and, no kind of outside influence and no noise, and I'm just living in this bubble. Look, brother, Calvin fucking Phillips is not the problem, right? The fact that you don't have Calvin Phillips on this team is not the problem. But I feel like people are fixating on the Calvin Phillips line because it is objectively hilarious that you've got this team full of $100 million valuation players. You Calvin Phillips role, you've got Kobe Mainu on this team, right? Kobe Mainu is like the breakout player of the year, maybe outside Cole Palmer in the Premier League. Nobody knew who he was a year ago, but he's been amazing, right? Like there are options. There are other guys on this team that are just better than Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips can't get in the team at West Ham or wherever the hell he ended up after he got loaned out from Manchester City, where he played 100 minutes and won 100 trophies, right? Like Calvin Phillips hasn't been good for multiple years. There's clearly something going on between the years, right? Not a lack of confidence or just lack of minutes or whatever. He's just not good. Right, but people are fixating on the Calvin Phillips part because it is hilariously dumb. There's another concerning part to this. The other concerning part being that why are you experimenting? We're at a major tournament. You have friendlies for that, right? Like, what's the point of losing to Iceland if you weren't experimenting to figure out how to make the team better? Okay, if you are a major international coach, you are lucky to get 2 tournaments. That is at least 6 games, right? You get 6 matches in like 4 years that really fucking count. And if you're a team like England, you're going to be able to walk backwards into these major tournaments, right? You'll miss one every once in a blue moon, but you're going to make it regardless. And so that qualifying process should, instead of being this competitive process where most countries are trying to survive, even Italy and the United States, right? You're trying to get there in the first place. For England, you should be experimenting. You should be figuring out your team that you want to use in the major tournament. You shouldn't be in match day 2 of a major tournament going, we're experimenting. We have this giant hole in our field, like in our midfield, because Calvin Phillips is not there. So you know what? If you do a little Google search, Calvin Phillips started 0 games at the World Cup in 2022. How long has this hole been here? I legitimately thought this quote was AI. Like, Calvin Phillips was not an important part of the team in Qatar. How is his absence all of a sudden the reason, like the sole reason that you feel like your entire team is playing incredibly disheveled? It makes 0 sense. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Just so alarmingly out of touch with reality in like verifiable ways. One, you control the team. If you really feel like you're missing Calvin Phillips, you could have fucking brought Calvin Phillips. You would have gotten a rash of shit for it, but you picked who was in that locker room, right? Wharton is sitting his ass on the end of the bench. Cole Palmer's doing nothing over there, right? Not like those guys are direct replacements, right? They could be. I don't know. How do you want to use Calvin Phillips in your 8-defender system? But it's not just that you picked the team. It's you had all this time to set everything up. You had all this time to bring forth your glorious ideas and tweak and plan and set up a system and have everybody understand it. But now I'm thinking England's in trouble because I don't think England knows what it's doing, right? And the one thing you could always compliment Gareth Southgate on before is that there was a plan. But now I get the feeling he's just putting Trent in the midfield and inshallah. Like he's on, it's in his position map at Football Manager. We'll just put him in the midfield. He could totally do that, right? It's like, we're experimenting. Like there's no other English midfielders on the planet. But England is now going to enter into the final match day with a real possibility of another upset bid coming from Slovenia because they've drawn the other 2 teams in this group. Clearly, teams that England has not necessarily blown out of the water. And so Slovenia is also going to be playing for its life. England has to win that game. Anything other than a win against Slovenia is entirely unacceptable for a team with the quality of England. And yet it feels like that is going to be a dangerous game. And then you've got freaking Denmark lurking back there, where if Denmark wins, right, and England draws, the Danes could snatch first place, and you're looking at an England getting a tough draw in the round of 16. There's a lot to play for going into the final day. But the main attraction of this day, at least everybody thought, was Spain and Italy. And I need to admit something. I think I'm wrong about Spain. Okay, because Spain has been in a prolonged transition period since the death of its glorious generation. It kind of feels like Spain is back. They smacked Croatia, who obviously is not having the best tournament overall, but they were the better team against Italy. They were the better team. And it's these wingers. Lamine Yamal is obviously exciting. Everybody knows that. He's the youngest player to ever play at the Euros. Nico Williams is cooking. Di Lorenzo is good and experienced, and he was getting barbecued by Nico Williams like the entire game. This Spanish team looks and feels a little different than the Spanish teams of when we were young, right? Those Spanish teams were, they weren't winger dependent. You know what I mean? They had probably the best international midfield you may have ever seen, right? But now this team has pace. And it has this kind of vibrant, exciting aggression, which was not necessarily associated with the Spanish team before. Spain could have dominated this match. It ended up being 1-0, right? Italy is nothing. If nothing else, it is a stubborn out, even when it is being outplayed. And it was being outplayed in this game. But Spain, a team that when I was putting together my predictions, and I was thinking we were going to get the same Spain that lost to Morocco, the same Spain that's shown up at the last couple tournaments. They could keep the ball well. They obviously had quality, but there just wasn't that cutting edge. Spain's cutting now, right? And they can still possess the ball, for crying out loud. It's Spain, right? These guys are drilled in this in the cradle. They're just knocking the ball back and forth. But I was not putting Spain in that absolute top echelon with England, France, and Germany as the teams that could actually win this whole thing. Spain looks like a team that could absolutely win the European Championship right now. Right? Look, all you need is for Alvaro Morata to finally not choke. And I think with Spain, he doesn't choke nearly as much as he does at the club level. And I don't like using that word, of course, because Alvaro Morata, he does a lot of things right to consistently end up in these positions in the first place. But this right here was the match day where Spain announced itself as a legitimate, serious contender. Now, the following match day is basically already almost over, so that video is going to be coming soon. But I will see you guys. There's no camera to turn off, so I think I just do this. Hostage video over.